Welcome back to the Maya Toolbelt and our environment project. My goal for this, by the way, is to get this all UV'd because next semester, we're at the school where I work, I'm going to be having a model shading and lighting class, and my hope is to have this whole environment ready for my students to use to practice lighting as well as materials and textures with. So first I need to get it UV'd for them. And we're making progress on that, but it's slow. You can see the progress we've made so far. And we're using now a updated Maya to Maya 2017 release 3, I believe. Let's look at the About Maya page. Yeah, Maya 2017 update 3. And this has the new UV editor in it. I'm still getting used to it, but we're going to go ahead and continue working with our UVs here. I have my panels, saved layouts, perspective/UV editor chosen for the layout, and I can begin UVing once again. How about we go ahead and skip over all the other boring things and look at the column itself. Since the column is this cylindrical shape, let me press Alt-H to hide everything else. I can look at it more clearly. Now I know that the tops and bottoms of the cylinder are going to be hidden, so I can actually delete those faces just to make things a little bit easier for us. Hit delete to get rid of those. Now go back to object mode. So to UV map a very cylindrical object, we can use the UV menu, cylindrical UV projection. That's what this says here. So with my column selected, I'll click on the cylindrical UV projection, edit, reset settings, and just make sure everything's default here and hit project. So when that happens, you can see over here in the UV editor, the columns UVs that have been laid out like this. I also have this gizmo here that has been applied to the scene. And for the most part, in this case, since it is a very cylindrical shape, it works pretty well. So I'm just going to let that ride, I think. But the main thing I want to look for is the seam. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-H to bring back all the other meshes. So the seam for this would ideally be in the back. And press 4 for wireframe view. So I can look through all my stuff here. And so right here, this edge loop should be the seam. And as luck would have it, that is the seam I currently have. If that wasn't the case, I would need to cut the UV edges that I would want to be the seam and then remap them. Got a little bit lucky, and the UVs pretty much have the seam where I want them. So let me zoom in here and just make sure that I don't have any overlapping UVs and that I have everything set the way I want before I keep going. One easy way to just tell is to apply our material. So I'm going to right click and go to object mode, then right click and go to assign existing material and use our texture grid. And we can kind of see how it's looking. Obviously it's very streaked right now, it's very stretched. So I need to select my UV shell here and adjust my placement. And just scale these in so it's too stretched out. Again, I use the ones I've already laid out just kind of as a guide. And I'll reposition this so that kind of the orange one is visible since I can see that one clearly here. And it looks like this is pretty close. So something like that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, I think. So yeah, we got that part done pretty quickly. Let's look at this piece down here now. Alt-H to hide everything else. Now I know the top surface I do need, however the bottom one I know I don't need, so I can delete that face. Control-Shift-H, bring everything back again. So I'm going to cylindrical map this one as well. However, what I'm going to do is select all the faces and then deselect that top cap face, as I only want to cylindrically UV project the faces that are actually in a cylindrical pattern, and that top face is not a part of that. So I'm going to go to UV, cylindrical. You can see here on the right side in my UV editor all those UVs have been laid out in this nice square shape, which is what I wanted. Press the 4 key, see if I got lucky again with the seam. Looks like I did. It's projecting with the seam being in the back, which is exactly what I want. Now that circular cap face you can see here, I'm going to select, go to the select menu, components, UV shell, and I'll just move this UV shell over here just so I can get to the circular one and move it around. And then I can press the 6 key to back to my texture view, apply my texture grid material. And we can again adjust this UV shell so that our texture grid looks appropriate, and need to shrink it down a lot, as well as make it like this. Again, using the orange one kind of as my main guide. That looks pretty close, I think. So we got something like this, and then that top face, I'll grab this real quick. And it's not too important since most of it is covered up. But I was kind of trying to make it a little bit proportional. Alright, we can keep going. So this shape is a bit unique. Right now the UVs definitely need to be projected in a better way. I'm going to isolate select it as well. And let's just try an automatic mapping and see how that works. First I'll go to modify, freeze transformations, and then UV automatic, just to kind of see what we get. And we get our shells laid out like this, which for the most part seems pretty good. With the new UV editor, you can see this white outline for my UV borders, which is helpful in many cases. So you can see right away that I have a UV border wrapping through here. So these little edges that are inside here did not get picked up with the projection. You can see that they are situated over here, all these little pieces here probably. But for the other parts, we can probably start putting them together. So I'm going to select this big piece here, go to select components, we'll say UV shell. I'll move this shell over here. Then I'll grab this, let's grab these edges. Those correspond to these over here. I'm going to move and sew. I'll zoom in a little bit. Press G to move and sew these bits here to put them together. Do the same down here. I'm pressing the G key to redo the last command, which was move and sew. Now, because of the curving shape of this, we're going to get some deformation through here. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so it moved pretty well. It didn't pull too much. Just kind of keep doing the same for both sides. Zoom in close so we can get to these little cracks here. Still using my move and sew command. And last but not least is this piece here. This is going to be this piece stretching between here. So I can apply it to one side or the other. Doesn't really matter too much. So these edges here correspond to these bits here. So we're going to leave those separated. I'm just going to move them so they're not overlapping. Do something more like this. Okay. As for these things here, select all those edges, You see none of them really correspond here except at the ends. We can leave those alone. So what I want to do is fit all of these into these spiral pieces here. So the way I'm going to do that is by selecting all of these through here and then go to cut and sew and cut them. And then I can grab, for example, all these edges and say move and sew. Do it again. You can see they all get moved and sewn and moved in there. It's not perfect though, and this really depends on just how noticeable you feel like this is going to be. But just for the sake of not just the video, but also my students, I'm going to try and make this a bit cleaner. I'll just do that again for the rest of them. So again, kind of selecting these. One thing would be make it easier. I'm going to select all of this just so they highlight. I can see what I'm wanting to select over here. I just select all these now. Move and sew. And then do it again. Deselect these outer edges if I select them. Move and sew. And again, they'll be a little bit messy. Go in here and clean them up a little bit. Okay, do it again. So all those pieces now are gone as they've been moved into their respective crevices through here. And now I'll go through and clean these up. Alright, so now I got all those little bits inside their respective areas and kind of straightened up through there. I'll just move these over here to be closer to the rest of it. Now let's apply the texture grid, see what it looks like. Not too shabby. Unhide everything else, Control-Shift-H. Just going to rotate this a bit so I can see it better in relation to the rest of it. I'm just going to put these kind of next to each other. I'm going to scale them at the same time to make sure that they're scaled the same. Just scale down quite a bit. Alright, so those look pretty similar. And for this over here, you can kind of do the same. You're just kind of scaling it to make it fit proportionately with the rest of the texture resolutions that were going on. Alright, so we got this column part pretty much done. I'm just going to keep going with these gray pieces and get them all looking as colorful as the rest of the model. But we continue with this base piece down here. With Alt-H to isolate it. Now I know these back faces aren't going to be seen, so I can easily select all those and delete them. Same with the bottom face down here. Control-Shift-H, bring everything back. First I'll select the mesh now, go to Modify, Freeze Transformations, UV, Automatic. We have a lot of pieces here. So what I'm going to do is isolate the front faces. So I have them selected here in the perspective camera so I can see them highlighted over here. I'll go to Select UV Shells. I'll select all of these, move them over. So we have some of those little ridge details, those faces kind of floating over here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and isolate the rest of these main faces through here. Okay, so these are the front faces, these are one side, and these are another side. So now all these are those kind of, except for that one, that's the top face, move that up here. So these guys are kind of these miscellaneous faces that kind of got lost in the shuffle. So what I'm going to do is grab all of these edges and cut them. So then when I sew them onto their corresponding pieces over here, they'll move a little bit easier. All right, so let's do this. I'll select these edges here, go to move and sew. Oops, move and sew, there we go. I'll select them again, do it again, press G, undo that. Obviously we need to make sure I deselect these guys down here, don't need them, don't need that one. Move and sew, okay. Go there and clean that up a little bit. All right, select this one, move and sew. We'll get all these main pieces in first, and then I'll go back and clean it up a bit. And because I cut all those edges, that's why I had to kind of do it lots and lots of times to get them all in a nice row. Right, so that's the top. So there we go. So now that I've done that, you can kind of see here, when you rotate this, there, that kind of front section laid out the way I would want it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do that again, but with each side. So I'm going to grab this edge here, move and sew, and I'll just keep doing that. Okay, so that's one side. I'll do the same down here. Okay, so now we have the three main sides, the top, and then we do have some kind of miscellaneous faces through here. I'll select all of them and kind of see where they go. Mostly looks like these corner faces, and we'll get to those in a bit. But for now, let's go ahead and arrange these. This is the right side here, so I'll rotate this. This one as well. Okay. So here's the three main sides. I'll kind of line them up a bit. So I'm not going to actually connect them. Remember, I have texture seams through the corners. I think that'll be okay. I do want to get those miscellaneous little tiny edges, faces joined in where they should go. So for example, I'll grab like this little cut out face here, and move instead of that, and fill in that gap. I'll do the same for other gaps I find. This little bit's kind of collapsed down. So I'll move it a little bit just to kind of clean that up a little bit. Fill in these gaps. Nice, right here, it looks like, yeah, here's that face there. I need to cut that edge, cut that one, and then use that cut off piece to fill in right here. Do the same with these over here. Just kind of follow it up, filling in the gaps as we come to them. Alright, so I got that side pretty much done. Just got to do the same thing over here now. Alright. Let's see if I missed any over here. Looks like they're all gone. So they've all been filled in where they should go on either side of these shells. So just have these three sides and the top. We can apply our texture grid. And then rescale if we need to. Since these are all pretty much the same, I'm going to select them all. And they look pretty close actually. Yeah, I might just go ahead and leave that pretty much the way it is. Something like that. Alright. Alright, I think I'm going to stop it here. This will be the end of the end of this part of the UV process. We've still got some more to go, and we're getting there slowly but surely. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you later.